Welcome to the GymWolfPT vlog. Today's topic is something I feel it's quite important and it's something a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on and it can sort of lead them off track. What I want to look at really and discuss is taking body weight measurements on household scales and whether people should put a lot of importance in this. So it's a common routine for many people wanting to get healthy and fitter. They get out of bed, they jump on the scales and they see a number staring back at them. That number is the same as yesterday. It could be the same as the day before. It could even have gone up. Panic stations. I mean, most people's minds go into overdrive thinking, what have I done? What's gone wrong? Or they might just scream, why? This isn't for me. I can't lose weight. If you then step back and honestly look at it over the last week and find that you have missed training sessions, you've overeaten, you've had lots of cheat meals, you may accept that the scale reading is correct, move on and vow to put it right from now on. So that's not much of a problem. It's a problem that you miss your training, you've not been eating well, but you can accept that and you can build on that. However, if you look back and you have trained hard, you have eaten right, you have stuck to your plan, then the feeling's a bit different. You can feel despondent, you can feel disillusioned, you can really be ready to give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. Do not give up based on body weight measurements, and I'm going to go into why. So it's common, it really is common, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're off track of your goals and your weight loss goals. The reason for this is that scales and your body weight measurement don't tell the overall story. In fact, going solely off body weight data can lead you to fail at your fitness goals. If weight measure is your only method for defining success and failure on your fitness journey, it can be very damaging. Common symptoms of this of paying too much attention to weight can be low self-esteem, yo-yo dieting where you go on the latest fad or you just go to extremes to try and lose weight quickly, and they can even result in weight gain. So I'm not saying that the scale should be ditched. They still have the uses, but what I'm saying is use your weight measurements alongside other methods to determine your weight loss or your fitness goals. So the reason for this is, I'm going to look at a few factors now that should be taken into account with body weight measurements. So the first one is the way your body retains water. This is a major reason why weight fluctuates significantly, particularly between the morning and evening. So for example, if you take your measurements in the morning after a night where you might not have drunk anything throughout the night, and then you take a measurement in the evening where you might have drunk lots of water or fluids throughout the day, there can be a big jump just from that. And there's other factors that can affect water retention. Think things like if you have high salt-based foods, that'll affect your water retention, or if a woman's on a period, that can affect your water retention. So your scales, they're not interested in that. They don't look into it and say, yeah, he's had that to eat, or that's going on. They just give you a set reading. So water retention plays a big part. Secondly, individual bone density. So we all know there's lots and lots of bones in our bodies, and these take up a large proportion of our inside body and our inner bodies. And they also have a weight attributed to them, and it's quite a heavy weight. So your bones will roughly weigh probably 12 to 18% of your overall body weight. So you're thinking, well, there's not going to be any changing with the bones. Well, that's not quite right. So for example, let's think about bone density. And there are factors that affect bone density. Obviously, things like age and that can change the density of your bone. But then also the training you do can affect it. So example, if you don't do any training or you're doing lots of cardio training and then you suddenly change to an intense weight training program, your bone density would most likely increase because you're putting a lot of stress and strain on that bone, and it has to get stronger to be able to take the impact. So this will mean, as well as the density of the bone increasing, it'll mean the weight of your bone will also increase. And if your bone weight increases, that means your body weight increases. So although you won't see any difference in your body, if your bones are more dense, you will be a heavier weight. Thirdly, muscle mass. This causes a lot of confusion with people. I hear it all the time where they'll say muscle weighs more than the fat. They'll say a kilogram of muscle weighs more than a kilogram of fat. That's not right, we know that. A kilogram of muscle weighs the same as a kilogram of fat. But much like the bones, there's a density issue here. So muscle has more density than fat. So for example, a kilo of fat will take up a lot more space in your body than a kilo of muscle will. So let's look at it and say, right, we train and we're eating right and we lose a kilo of fat, but we also gain a kilogram of muscle, of lean muscle. Our weight, not taking any other factors into account, will be exactly the same because we've lost a kilogram and we've gained a kilogram, so it stays the same. So you might think, oh, look at the scales, I've not made any progress. But if you look at your body shape, then it will have changed, because that kilogram of muscle will be taking up less space than your kilogram of fat. So if you look at your body, you'll look more toned. So you can have the same weight, but you can look better. Fourth, body fat. So your scales don't differentiate between fat and muscle. You might think I'm wrong there, and you might say, well, I've got a body fat scale at home. You may well have. The accuracy of these isn't very good, unfortunately. You know, if we're wanting to analyse body fat properly, we'd have to be going down the X-ray route, and you'd be looking at thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. So they serve a slight purpose, the home-based body fat analyzers. But don't put too much into them readings. They're not very accurate. They'll give you a rough estimate, basically. So you're not really going to know what is fat and what muscle. So a lot of it is going off how you look rather than that weight on the scale. So again, that moves me on to the fifth point. So how you look. So your scales aren't interested in how you look and feel. For example, you can feel amazing at 80 kgs and you can feel awful at 80 kgs. I mean, you can look toned, solid at 80 kgs, or you could look flabby or, in a bad shape at 80 kgs. So a good way to determine how your body composition change is going is to evaluate how your clothes are fitting. So look at things. So are your trousers now baggy at the waist? Is that shirt now tight at your bicep? Is the dress now loose at the stomach? Looking at your clothing is a great indicator that you're making progress that the scales just won't take into account. So I've looked at the reasons why and the factors why we shouldn't just look at body weight measurements. So you're probably asking now, well, what should I look at? So I'm going to just go through a few other methods that can work hand in hand with body weight measurements. So the first one I want to discuss is progress photos, and clients of mine will know I put a lot of emphasis on this. I think it's important to, rather than use your mind to remember back how you look, actually visually see how you look. So I always ask people and advise people to take progress photos at regular intervals. That might be every couple of weeks or every month. I'll always ask them to do them in a similar light and the same position. So ideally progress photos should be taken from the front, the back and from the side, and at the same time of day, pre-meal, things like that. Try and keep all the factors the same when taking progress photos. Another way is body measurements. So you've probably taken body measurements. The most common ones that you take are waist size, but you might also want to measure chest, hips, thighs, bicep, quads, forearms. Women might busts, knees. There's lots of different measurements you can take to compare, and all you basically need is a tape measure. So it's very simple and quick measurements to take, and if you're logging them down, you can see. So a lot of the time people think, oh, I'm not making any progress, but they might be, and these are good measurements to take. Third, a fitness journal. As much about fitness is also about how it makes you feel. So a fitness journal is a great way to record your workouts, what you're doing. You can add your body measurements into there, but also how are you feeling. When you're doing a workout, is that bench press that you were doing at 100 kgs, is that suddenly feeling a lot easier than it used to do, or is it feeling harder? So a fitness journal is great to tell you, are you progressing or are you regressing? So I think fitness journals are a great way to record how you're performing. Another way is to set performance goals and focus on them. So rather than just your aiming, you hear most people say, what's my goal? Oh, I want to lose a stone by summer, or I want to lose. These are good goals, but sometimes they can be demotivating if you're not seeing day to day or week to week changes. I think it's good to have some other performance related goals that you can tick off, you can say you've done. So for example, a performance goal, I've put a few examples here, things like you could aim to drink 4 litres of water a day, tick, done. You could prep your breakfast and lunch in advance, go through it for the week, tick, done. You could only have 1 cheat meal a week, tick, done. Or cross, didn't manage it this week, next week I need to double my efforts. Or you could say something like, I need to complete 4 or 5 workouts every week, tick, 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 done. So performance goals are a great way to give yourself them little wins, or give you them little kicks that you might need to keep you on track. So that's coming towards the end of my vlogs. So just a final thought really. So although I'd always say weighing scales are a welcome addition to any bathroom, don't solely base your progress, success or failure on body weight. That could really cause you problems. So look into some of the things I've mentioned earlier on in this vlog, and if you are going to take body weight measurements, use them alongside the other measurements that you've got at your disposal. Okay, thank you.